every time I heard from Community of Christ, we're a church of peace and justice, we want to work towards social justice, I was drawn into that. I grew up in Independence, and I had always been drawn to the International Church. Living in Independence, once I was 12, I could walk up and be a part of World Conference. And I would come up just to watch people get ready for the flag ceremony. I would love to go down the hall and just see all those flags next to each other and then to watch that ceremony as they came in. And I was just amazed at what is this international body of people? Community of Christ just has followed me everywhere that I go. And I went to Honduras. We went with Habitat for Humanity with Graceland. I just had this experience. It was right after a horrible hurricane. People were living under tarps. And for the first time, I really connected my faith, my beliefs, all the things that I was learning. We'd always been told to help others, to be generous, to help those who were in need. And I had never seen need the way I saw it there. It changed something in me. It was a big shift, I think, for me towards social justice as part of my faith and beliefs and what I wanted to work for. I then went to French Polynesia right after that experience. And there in French Polynesia, I learned about hospitality in a much larger way than I had ever experienced it before. I mean, hospitality was always important in my family, but you go to Tahiti in French Polynesia and it is lavish. I mean, it is generosity to the max. And the way that you were received and brought into families and loved and fed and taken to different places and immediately included in their choir and in their services, given an opportunity to participate, it was life-changing for me. I wanted to learn French from that experience. I had taken a little French in college, but once I had been to French Polynesia, I was set to go somewhere and learn French because I wanted to go back and thank the people for that experience. So that next fall, I went for a year and I studied music in Paris. And I was able to study music there, but also learn the French language. And I eventually did go back. So I'm in Paris, living there for a year. And at Christmas time, somebody from Graceland contacted me and said, hey, can me and my friend come and stay with you over Christmas? I said, well, I'm leaving, but you can come and stay in my apartment. So one of those people that came was Cindy Van Rossum. And her husband, Jerry, at the time was the Mission Center president for Europe. And so she left a little note, thank you for letting us use your apartment. If you ever want a place to come and stay, come to the Netherlands where she was living. And they were living in a parsonage, like a little apartment connected to the church in Rotterdam. Little did I know when I went after school to visit them that one day I would be living in that apartment as a youth minister and later as a Mission Center president as well, there in that little apartment in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. I stayed with them for a month. I then went to France and stayed for a month. I then came back. I went to all of these places and I met just this larger international body of Community of Christ in Germany and France and the Netherlands and all these people. And I went to 2 weekends that were extremely important in my connection to Community of Christ. And at those weekends, we were studying this document that I had never heard of before that was called Core Values of Community of Christ. Today, those have become 2 different documents, the core beliefs and the enduring principles. And when I sat there and listened to these words that I had never heard before by this guy named Tony Schwala-Smith, who I had never heard of before either, but reading things like the worth of all persons. And I'm like, ooh, I can get on board with that. Or I hear unity and diversity. And I began to really be changed by kind of these words. And there was this interesting hope for what the future might bring if we actually became the words that I was hearing at that weekend. We are a risk-taking people. We have a mission prayer that literally at the middle of that prayer says, grant us courage, right? And it asks us, so God, where will your Spirit lead today? Help me to be fully awake and ready to respond. Grant us courage to risk something new and to become a blessing of your love and peace. So risking is kind of at the base of who we are, and risking is active hope. It's hope in action. Active hope is taking the risks in the midst of not knowing what the outcome may be so that we can walk forward into God's preferred future for us.